Mayor, I will now turn it over to you.
Thank you, Amy. Good evening and welcome to the September 9th, 2021 regular meeting of the Citrus Heights City Council. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And with that, I'd ask Councilmember Bruins to lead us in the flag salute, please. Thank you. And with that, for the roll call.
Councilmember Bruins.
Present.
Councilmember Daniels.
Here.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Here.
Vice Mayor Middleton.
Present.
And Mayor Miller.
Here.
This meeting of the Citrus Heights City Council is cablecast live on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel, on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T U-verse cable systems. This meeting is closed captioned and live streamed at citrusheights.net. Tonight's meeting replay is on Monday, September 13th at 9 a.m. on Channel 14, and this meeting can also be viewed on the city's YouTube channel.
Thank you, Amy. And I did want to report that we had no reportable action out of closed session earlier this evening. And with that, is there any changes to the agenda? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Bruins, seconded by Daniels. And we can just do all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. Next item.
Our next item is presentation number 4, a proclamation of the City of Citrus Heights in recognition of Alfred Sanchez.
Thank you. And I've asked Councilmember Tim Schaefer to present this to Alfred.
Thank you, Mayor. So it's my pleasure. Alfred, if you would come forward. Welcome.
Hey, guys. It's
So,
been a while
Alfred.
since I've been in here.
Yeah, welcome back. This is a proclamation, recognize your service. I just am going to start out by reading the City of Citrus Heights recognizing Alfred Sanchez for his service to the Citrus Heights homeless community. Whereas Alfred Sanchez made his mission 4 years ago to take snacks to the local homeless, thus earning the name Snack Man. Whereas Alfred uses snacks, socks, and compassionate pressure to influence the members of the homeless community and has taken the initiative to help negotiate and resolve complaints and issues. And Alfred goes out 6 days a week visiting homeless in Citrus Heights. He attends homeless resource team Heart meetings and volunteers several Hearts functions. And Alfred has worked with the Citrus Heights homeless community and the Citrus Heights Police Department to reduce vandalism occurring at the Sylvan Oaks Library. He also worked with the Sunrise Recreation and Parks District to help mitigate homeless issues there. Whereas Alfred's commitment to his community involves a long history of volunteering in various boards such as the Neighborhood Area 4, Residents Empowerment Association of Citrus Heights, and the Construction Board of Appeals. Whereas Alfred embodies his motto, love everyone. Now, therefore, it may be resolved that the City Council of Citrus Heights does hereby recognize Alfred Sanchez for his outstanding dedication and commitment to homeless in the community of Citrus Heights. In witness thereof, we have set forth our hand and seal on the 9th day of September 2021, signed Mayor Steve Miller. Can I go down and present this to him?
Absolutely.
Normally, we'd all go down there, but let's limit our exposure.
Did I say something?
Yeah, well, Tim's walking down there. Alfred, please.
I just want to say that I appreciate the recognition, and it's I didn't write anything down, and normally I do, but this time I just decided I wanted to say what came to mind, and it's hard out there. And I know you all know that, and I did a sock drive for my birthday, and people from the city came and brought socks and stuff, and I love what I do, but the reason I have to do it is just kind of sad, you know, and it's like a lot of times like, oh, I'm snack man, and it seems like it's like really great. I'm going around giving out snacks, but a lot of times what people don't see is the things that are really sad. So I thank you very much. I will continue to do my best to represent the homeless people, as well as try and bring the city together and say, look, you know, this is everybody's home. But I thank you very much. Love you guys.
Thank you, Alfred. And you know, it is sad, but you bring light to the darkness, and that's why we're recognizing you tonight.
Many times it's just listening to people. It's just as simple as just listening to people. I got a lot of time on my hands, and sometimes I'll be sitting there like, wow, I've been sitting here listening to this guy for 30 minutes, but sometimes they don't have anybody else that will listen to them. And then I learn a lot from them, and I, you know, I talk to them and cuddle them and give them some tough love and be myself. And you guys all know me. You know I'm community oriented. I just try and help people.
Yeah, I've known Alfred for about 15 to 20 years, maybe somewhere in that ballpark.
Mhm.
And, you know, if a tenth of the people cared half as much as you do about your community, whether that's political, whether that's the homeless, whether that's the parks, I couldn't imagine what a glorious world we would have, Alfred. You're truly a hero.
Like I said, just try and love everybody, you know, just everybody. What the heck, right?
Thank you, Alfred, for all that you do. Thank you. Thank you so much, Alfred. We really appreciate your efforts, and you are truly a beacon of hope in our community.
It's just, you know, all just, you know, we all have to live here. That's what I try and tell everybody out there. It's like, look, you know, this is where you are and this is where we are, and we're all here. So let's all just try and do our best to get along.
That home for you.
All right. Next item, please, Amy.
Next item is presentation number 5, proclamation of the City of Citrus Heights proclaiming September as Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. And it does not appear that Representative Barbara Nicholson with the California Prostate Cancer Coalition could join us tonight, but we will make sure to.
Okay, well, I'll read the proclamation and I'll give this back to you so you can send it to her. This one in particular hits close to home for me. I'm a bladder cancer survivor, and I know full well the advantage of finding out with early detection. So let me read the proclamation. Whereas prostate cancer is the most frequently diagnosed cancer in men and the second leading cause of cancer deaths in men. And the American Cancer Society estimates there will be 248,000 plus new cases of prostate cancer in 2021 alone, resulting in an estimated close to 35,000 deaths. It's estimated that 26,000 men in California will be diagnosed with prostate cancer this year, and it's estimated that close to 4,000 California men will die from this disease this year. The incidence of prostate cancer is almost 80% higher in non-Hispanic Black men than in non-Hispanic white men for reasons that remain unclear to doctors. And this early stage prostate cancer usually has no symptoms, and studies suggest strong genetic disposition may be responsible for about 5 to 10% of this cancer. And late stage prostate cancer commonly spreads to the bones, which then cause pain in the hips, spine, ribs, and other areas of the body. Whereas the 5-year survival rate approaches 100% when prostate cancer is diagnosed and treated early, it drops to 30% when it spreads to other parts of the body. So these risk factors for prostate cancer are increasing in African ancestry with a family history of the disease and certain inherited genetic conditions. The American Cancer Society recommends that men have a conversation with their healthcare provider and make an informed decision about whether to be tested for prostate cancer based on their values and preferences. Therefore, the City Council joins communities across our nation to increase awareness about the importance for men to make an informed decision with their healthcare provider about early detection and testing for prostate cancer. So now be it resolved, the City Council of the City of Citrus Heights does hereby designate September 2021 Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. And I've set my hand and seal on this proclamation and as witnessed by our city clerk. Thank you. Any comments? Okay. That proclamation's done. Do we have another one?
No, no, we don't, that is it for tonight.
Okay, so next item.
Next item is presentation number 6, and it is SAC-RT Short Range Transit Plan, SAC-RT on the Move. And Sarah Poe with SAC-RT will start the presentation.
Good evening, council members. My name is Sarah Poe, and I am from Sacramento Regional Transit District in the Planning Department. I'm here to talk about the SAC-RT's Short Range Transit Plan. I wanted to share with you all that SAC-RT is, just one second, let me start my video real quick. Hold on just one second. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So I've got a slide pulled up here that says, what is a short range transit plan? For those folks that don't know what a short range transit plan is, a short range transit plan is a document that plans out transit services and operations for a 5 to 10-year planning period. So the current SRTP that SAC-RT has right now, it is coming up on an expiration date. The last SRTP was done back in 2012, and it was done for a 10-year period. So it will be expiring in 2022. So that is why we are now updating the next plan. However, we'll be doing the next plan for a 5-year period. So the next SRTP will be covering FY 2022 to 6. And we are calling that plan document SAC-RT on the Move. So the SRTP document will be called SAC-RT on the Move. It is kind of like a follow-up document to SAC-RT Forward, which most of you might be familiar with, was the bus network redesign that we did. Today actually marks the 2-year anniversary of SAC-RT Forward. It was 2 years ago that we implemented the big effort of our bus network redesign. Since that effort, there have been many changes across the Sacramento region, and with all of those changes, in addition to the current SRTP expiring, now is the appropriate time for us to update the SRTP. SAC-RT on the Move, we have, over the last several months, we've started looking at the existing SRTP and making updates to the existing framework. And that document is going to be updated. We're looking at our transit services and operations, and we're assessing the following things like the transit system, our fleet needs, capital, operating cost and revenues. And we're also looking at new and future transit services and projects, and what our future services, what future services might look like over the next 5 years. Okay, so why is SACRT doing an SRTP? There are several reasons, and like I've mentioned, now is a good time for SACRT to do the SRTP. One, because the existing plan is coming up on an expiration, and also because there have been so many changes in the last 10 years, and transit services and transit ridership has changed so much, and travel patterns have changed so much with COVID that we really do need to take a look at transit services and operations and plan for the next 5 years and how we need to make meaningful changes to service and operations and how we want to do that. SRTPs are also a requirement from the Federal Transit Administration. We're required as a transit agency that receives direct federal funds that we are required to have an SRTP. And we are also required to provide a current SRTP to SACOG as the Regional Transportation Planning Agency. So over the last several months, SACRT Planning has completed several tasks in updating the SRTP. We have worked with our marketing department to develop an outreach plan. Updating an SRTP, marketing and community involvement is a very, very important part of developing a very meaningful short-range transit plan. And so we've been working very closely with our marketing department to make sure that our outreach plan is covering everything. And we need to make sure that we get all of the community involved. We have a webpage dedicated to the short-range transit plan, and that was published in July. So that has been up on our website for the last several months. We have been meeting with our partners and the local jurisdictions. We've met with the cities of Citrus Heights and Elk Grove and Folsom and Rancho Cordova to meet with those folks and decide and talk about, things that we need to make sure we're focusing on, and just to make sure that the SRTP is including everything that we need to make sure that we need to focus on in the next 5 years for service. So a big part of the SRTP that we're moving forward with right now is a service plan, a 5-year service plan for future service development. The planning department has been meeting internally with other departments within SACRT, the scheduling folks, the facilities folks, and marketing folks. And we have come up with a potential list of service improvements for the next 5 years. We are finalizing that list right now. And once that information is finalized, we will have it ready to take out to the community for to kick off our community involvement, so we can start sharing that information with the public and start getting some good feedback from the community on that. So that takes me to my last slide with what are the tasks that are remaining with our SRTP update. So next steps really for the remainder of the calendar year is going to be heavily involved with community involvement. We have some more marketing deliverables to do and to take out to the community. We've got some virtual open houses that we are planning to schedule here in the next month or two. And some other, we have to be a little creative with the community events because things are still kind of virtual. Not many folks are getting back to the in-person meetings at this point. So I think we're still going to try and do as many virtual events as we can. But I think we can still get a pretty good turnout. A lot of our community involvement and our workshop type meetings have been virtual over the last 2 years, and they've worked out pretty well. So I anticipate us still being able to get some pretty good feedback on the SRTP by doing it that way. So we are planning to schedule some open houses over October, possibly November. And like I said, we will have a draft service plan for the next 5 years we should have a draft copy of that ready to share with the public. And that will be ready when we are able to share that at virtual open houses. And once we get some dates on the schedule, we'll have that information posted and we'll start sharing that information as soon as we get that on the schedule. Once we are able to get some feedback on that, we will be in a position to kind of analyze some of the comments and the feedback that we're getting from the public, and then we'll be able to draft a final plan. And we're looking at having a public comment period in the winter, January of 2022, and looking at tentatively having the final SRTP adopted by the board in the spring of 2022. So that is the timeline that we're looking at right now. But like I said, our next big kickoff will be the community involvement piece. So that is what we're working towards right now. So more information on that will be coming soon. But I just wanted to take an opportunity to share the effort, the short range transit plan with you all, and just let everybody know that it's happening, and we'll be sharing more updates as we move through the project.
Thank you, Sarah. And I'd love to get you hooked up with our neighborhood associations.
Oh, yes.
So I think we've done that in the past, and that'd be great. Some meet virtually and in person. So I'll get in touch with you offline.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments for Sarah?
Just appreciate the report. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Great report.
Anytime.
With that, we're going to move on to the next item.
The next item is comments by council members and regional board updates.
Okay, where to start? Let's go right to left. Councilmember Schaefer?
Okay, so I had a very interesting meeting. I was appointed by this board to the Sacramento Homeless Policy Council. We had our first meeting on the 27th. It was really a great opportunity to meet all the stakeholders around the region. This is covering Sacramento County, Folsom, Elk Grove, the city of Sacramento, or Citrus Heights, and all of the players involved. And I thought it was a great discussion. We all kind of are sort of in the mode of understanding the problem much better. And then we'll meet again later this year to really sort of dive in and see what we can do to reduce homelessness. I think we all recognize that part of the biggest, one of the biggest challenges we have is, and one of the ones we should be focused on, is preventing people from becoming homeless in the first place. So it's much harder to deal with a homeless person after they're already on the streets. And so if we can prevent them from hitting the streets, then I think that that's a really worthwhile effort. So I look forward to having more discussions on that. On September 2nd, I also sit on the Sacramento Cable Television Commission. We just kind of, in that meeting, just kind of did some housekeeping, approved the employee handbook and that sort of thing. So there really wasn't anything super remarkable to report out of that. So with that, it's great to see as I go to my favorite restaurant in town, Crepes and Burgers. It's delightful to see how busy they are. There is really a tremendous amount of folks that are coming back into the community and really enjoying the local eateries that we have here. And I just want to encourage everyone to keep doing that, because that we have to resume some kind of sense of normalcy. So I encourage everyone to do that. Thanks, Mayor.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you. I just sent you down to cover one meeting. You come back a member. Thank you. I didn't know that was going to happen, honestly. Councilmember Bruins.
Thank you. At our last regional sanitation board meeting, we just took care of some normal updates on some business that is ongoing. But it was a big meeting because we said goodbye to our district engineer, Prabhakar Samavarapu, who has had over 25 years with the regional san and spearheaded the big project that we're working on and have been working on, which is the upgrade of the sanitation treatment plant. And then we also said hello to his replacement, which is Christoph Dobson, who's been in the regional sand for many, many years as well. I've known him for a long time. I think I first met him back in my Chamber of Commerce days. So he's well suited to be Prabhakar's replacement. And that counts the 5th district engineer that I have served under as a board member. On the 2nd of September, it was a pretty emotional day for me. Said goodbye to 2 people that I love. One was Kathy Cook, who's become a longtime friend of mine. She and her husband, Bill, created and continue to manage the Citrus Heights Community Marching Band, who I think anybody who's lived in Citrus Heights for any period of time knows of the marching band. It's an all-volunteer band of about 120 people of all ages that has just become a great ambassador for Citrus Heights. And Kathy stood strong for several years battling cancer, and her memorial was on the 2nd. So that was how I started the day. And then that afternoon, said goodbye to Chief Ron Lawrence. And so he's another person that I've grown to love and respect over the 5 years that he's been here. And I watched his swearing-in ceremony in Costa Mesa, and it just seemed like he was in the wrong place. But the good news is that opens up an opportunity for someone else to become our new chief, and we will be learning who that is very shortly. On the 8th, we had the PAL board meeting. I'm just so proud of our PAL board led by Lieutenant Chris Fry. He's a remarkable man, and has every leadership we've had has been just better than the ones before. So in the middle of COVID, he's kept the programs going for our kids in the community. And this month, on the 18th, our PAL kids are going to a River Cats game with thanks to Supervisor Sue Frost for donating the tickets. If you have a child who would enjoy that, I think there are some tickets available still if you go on the PAL's website. Then the following week, we're taking kids to the Capitol Air Show. Always a favorite, celebrating the fact that they're back after a hiatus last year. And it just keeps getting better. In October, PAL is bringing back Trunk or Treat, which was a huge hit last year. Basically, it's a reverse Trunk or Treat, where it was a drive-through event where different departments within the police department had stations and gave out candy in baskets with long handles so that they could keep their distance from the cars. Over 2,000 people drove through that last year, most of which were, kids with their parents. And it was so successful that they had planned it for a couple of hours, and they had to extend it an hour because the cars just kept coming and kept coming. So this year, it's going to be on October 28th from 4 to 8 p.m., a 4-hour event. We are partnering with Dignity Health so that they can expand the structures. More cars can get into the parking lot. And also expanding it to the community, seeking business, nonprofits, and other organizations who want to sponsor have a spot there. There's no money required, but if you would like to be a station, decorate your car or your vehicle or a tent or whatever, dress up and feed candy, sugar up the kids of our community, there's an opportunity to do that on the PAL's website. There's a sign-up sheet. And then again in December, PAL is bringing back Miracle on Fountain Square Drive on the 10th, which is another drive-through experience, which was also highly attended last year. And then looking into next year, on February the 18th, back in the community center, which I'm delighted to announce is open again, PAL is going to host their second cornhole fundraiser. And the first one was in 2019, last no, 2020, last year, I think it was the last event at the community center before everything shut down. And it was a lot of fun, very successful. And this year we are being sponsored by the Citrus Heights Chamber of Commerce, who's partnering with it to make it an even bigger and better event. And that's all I have to offer. Thank you.
Eugenie. Now I'll go to my left, Councilmember Daniels.
Thank you very much. Tonight, when we finish up, I'd like to ask that we recess in honor of United States Marine Sergeant Nicole Gee of Roseville. And I hope I'm saying her name right. I haven't heard it pronounced, but I hope I'm saying it correct. She was killed in action on August 26th in Afghanistan, and she will return home next Thursday, September 16th at 12:45 at the airport. And then a procession, I would imagine, an escorted procession will come through Citrus Heights, down Greenback Lane to Mount Vernon Memorial Park at 8201 at Greenback, and go out and show your love.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Middleton.
Nothing exciting to report. Jeannie, Steve, and I all attended some of the same events, so very emotional saying goodbye to our chief, Ron Lawrence. He's very well missed. My son attended the event and he didn't really understand what was going on. He just thought we were having a nice party and then broke down in tears when he found out our chief was
Oh,
leaving.
no.
Yeah, so we'll find out soon who our new chief will be. We had our Policy and Innovation Committee meeting with SACOG. It was very interesting. We haven't really determined what our bills that we're going to be supporting or opposing are going to be. Legislative session is coming to an end shortly. So I would suppose that here in a bit, we'll have some solutions.
Hey, thank you. Let's see. I promised Jim Monteith I'd bring up that procession. You took care of it, so thank you. I did want to report on the Citrus Heights Connect Coalition. We had our first orientation on August 24th. It was virtual. And we went through the purpose of the coalition. And I'd really, instead of just going on about it, we do have a dedicated webpage on the city's website. Go in the search and just type Citrus Heights Connect and it'll bring you up to the correct page. But I did want to say that this is a direction from the city council from our strategic plan. And the goal was to enhance community vibrancy and engagement. And we created a task for staff to create this coalition, which would foster a strong sense of community in Citrus Heights, share resources and build connections between all the different people and groups, nonprofit, volunteer, all that stuff, plan ways for the community to come together, and leverage city communications channel to build awareness of existing events and news. And so they surveyed, and I think one of the biggest thing was coordinating our calendar between major events throughout the year. The last thing you want to do is have two major fundraisers on the same night. So that's just an example, but there's just a lot more detail with frequently asked questions. You can sign up and join if you belong to a nonprofit, you're involved in the community. Heck, if you're just, educating your kids at home and want to get, more information, get connected with other groups. And it's a great way. One of the things that I really wanted promoted is our service clubs, working with a lot of our youth organizations. And it's just about introducing people to each other to get these things done. And the example I had was, we had the red, white, and blue parade. And way before we were a city, that started out as all volunteer. In fact, Kathy Cook, I think, was responsible for putting that together. And slowly but surely, we're losing some of these matriarchs to our city. I mean, she was a mom to her family, a mom to the band, and really a mom to the city. And so really, I think the effort and the council came up with this task was to reconnect everybody, especially as we come out of this COVID and start re-engaging. So we've got the Little League teams there. We've got the schools involved. We've really got a good list. And if you can think of anybody to sign up and join this group, please direct them to our city's website. There's a button there to sign up and join. And let's see, I think all I have. Oh, I did want to just briefly on the city manager, we saw, I think the council members saw the recruitment parameters and the consultant, the search company wanted comments back from council members. That should be wrapped up. And I think about, so that'll go out and be published soon to advertise for a new city manager. And I think the closing will be sometime mid-October. So that's the latest news I have on that. And with that, on to the next item, please.
Next item is public comment. And members of the public may address the council on any agenda item of interest to the public and within the council's purview, or on any agenda item before or during the council's consideration of the item. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. If you wish to address the council during the meeting, please complete a speaker identification sheet and give it to myself. If participating via Zoom, use the raise hand function or *9 from a telephone to indicate your desire to speak. When your name is called, the city clerk will allow you to unmute your microphone.
Thank you. And first, I'll take speakers in person here, and I have a speaker card from Bridget Duffy. And then we'll go to any online comments.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
my name is Bridget Duffy. I'm from Citrus Heights. I'm here, I'm concerned about democracy in the United States right now. It's been, I think, a slow train coming, but I think what we're seeing right now, especially, is a violation, a real violation of a lot of people's civil rights. And we're talking about the right to work, the right to go to a store, buy food. And I think that as a city, and this has been my dream, my hope for many years now, is to see cities, local cities, start to beef up their democracy, basically. We don't really have a free press. I mean, I can bring, and I would love to do a presentation to the city council on all the things I'm going to mention, because I have lots of statistics and lots of court cases with real discovery and whatnot that I can show you that most of the media currently is privately owned by people with motivations to keep us from knowing what's going on and being involved with what's going on. So I would love to see the city of Citrus Heights work on possibly converting the high school newspapers into something that more of the public is involved in, so that we can, I like to come to city, I haven't done this in a long time, but I like to come to city council meetings and listen to what's going on and put it in a nice form of cartoon so that the public knows what the city's doing. And you know, the things that you're doing are things that people should know about. They should know about the transit situation. They should know about the sanitation changes. They should know that there's a job opening for the city manager. The city manager is the most powerful position in the city. And having a city manager who is on board with more democracy and less censorship, with more, civil rights being stood up for rather than taken away, this would be a major step for our city. And I believe any city that takes it upon themselves to take serious look at how our democracy itself is working is going to be a leader for the rest of the country. Our country is at a turning point. Do we have democracy? Do our elected officials actually represent the people? These are things that we are entitled to as Americans. And it's absolutely possible to attain this as a people, as a majority of people. And it doesn't mean that anybody gets put out of the loop. You know, a lot of times people look at democracy like, oh, I'm not going to be able to make my money, or blah, 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 blah. Good example is people's assemblies. The city of Citrus Heights could say, okay, rather than spend millions of dollars on consultants, we're going to have a people's assembly that's going to be the R&D program. Anyway, that's basically my tune, and I'm going to hopefully play that tune a little bit more and get some support. And, you know, I hope together that we can really take our democracy seriously. Thank you.
And thank you for your comments. Okay, do we have any hands raised on our virtual?
I do not.
Okay, well, and if you always raise a hand when an item comes up, if you want to comment on it. Other than that, we'll move on. And next we have the consent calendar.
Yes, consent calendar items 7, 8, 9, and 10.
And I just need to recuse myself from voting on item 10 due to a conflict of interest.
Proximity, right? I think we need to state what
Oh, yes,
it
I'm
is.
within 500 feet of the project, and so that's a automatic conflict of interest for me to vote on that. So other than that, I'm good.
Anything else?
Hold number 10. please.
Number 10, unfortunately, I think if we pull it, you have to leave the room. If it was stayed on
Are you
consent.
pulling it?
Yeah. yeah.
Sorry. Gene.
And that's okay.
Fine, I do have to leave the room.
Anything
Want to go
else?
to the other part first, though?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
let's do
yeah,
that, let's do that.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
So I'd like to move approval of items 1 through 9.
7 through 9.
7 through 9, is that what I heard?
Yes.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I didn't even stop. We did get a second on that, right?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't acknowledge the motion in the second. Okay, can you please read the next item?
Next item, item 10, the subject is the Arcade Cripple Creek Trail Project, and the recommendation is to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute amendment number 5 to the contract for professional services with GHD for the Arcade Cripple Creek Trail Project.
Okay,
So all I'm looking for, Mayor, is just a very short Reader's Digest version of why we have to have this amendment, what caused it and how it's being funded.
okay, and
It's just, I'm doing that mainly because it's been an ongoing, very large project.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure people understand what's going on with it and why it happened and that basis, basically.
let me ask our city engineer to, if Leslie could address that.
Yes, thanks, Mayor, Council. The purpose of the amendment before you tonight is to add additional right-of-way services to the project. We found out recently from Caltrans that we do need easements from our project partners. And so we are working with them now, but we have additional consulting services that are necessary to put together the paperwork required to secure the rights to install the trail within the parks and our other project partners. In addition, there's some additional design work that's necessary. We've really been working hard to fine tune the design, including minimizing impacts to trees and incorporating significant comments from our project partners as well. And so this amendment will help us incorporate those into the plans and get it ready to release to the public for viewing.
Then on the funding side, how is that being handled?
I'm sorry, yes, the funding is coming from Measure A PED safety funds to cover this specific amendment.
Then Leslie, the final thing is, there was concern over the word final being used in some of this paperwork, I think. And I just want to clarify, there's still time that this will still come back and still has a process to it, correct? We're not going to drop a document that basically says, that's it, we're done at some point. This still has time for massaging, correct?
Correct. We are working to get it to the very close to final stage as best as we can. We do plan to release it to the public for public comment, at which point we will incorporate and respond to those and create the documents that we'll then put out to bid. And then we'll come back after construction bidders have submitted prices for the award of the construction contract as well.
Thank you, Leslie. Appreciate the clarification. And with that, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve item 10.
Second.
Motion by Schaefer, second by Middleton. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that's 4-0 with a recusal from Councilmember Bruins. Yeah, there's a little delay in the video feed, so we're not quite done yet in the other room. All right. With that, if you'd announce the next item, please.
The next item is public hearing, item number 11. The subject is the 2021 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant funding. The recommendation is to adopt a resolution accepting the 2021 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant funds in accordance with state requirements.
Thank you, Amy. Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and members of the council. My name is Chris Fry. I'm the Investigations Lieutenant with the Special Services Division here at the Police Department. This evening, it is my privilege to speak with you about grant funding that was awarded to the Citrus Heights Police Department from the 2021 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, otherwise known as the JAG grant. Each year, the Bureau of Justice Assistance partners with the Bureau of Justice Statistics to allocate funding for each state and territory. The state distribution is based on the territory's violent crime and population size. The state's awarded amount is divided between the state and local governments at a rate of 60 and 40% respectively. Under this program, cities and counties receive federal funds to augment public safety expenditures. This is a non-competitive grant program. There is no guarantee for funding or minimum allocations, and the funds must be used for law enforcement activities to include equipment. During the application phase, the police department was asked to identify what the funding would be used for. The police department applied for funding for this grant based on the need to purchase ballistic shields for the department. This grant also requires that a minimum of 3% be applied for compliance with the federal requirement of the National Incident-Based Reporting System, otherwise known as NIBRS. NIBRS will be an updated and uniform way for law enforcement agencies around the country to submit crime data and will replace the current crime reporting practice of the Uniform Crime Reporting, otherwise known as the UCR. The police department is requesting to utilize the funds from the JAG grant to support the department's equipment and training initiatives. This request will support our goal to provide exceptional police services to the community and enhance officer safety. By accepting and using the grant funds in this manner, the police department will purchase the ballistic shields and utilize funds for the staff to attend training on NIBRS. The fiscal year 2020 funds must be expended by September 30th of 2022. The police department is recommending the council to adopt a resolution accepting the recommended expenditures for the 2021 JAG grant in the amount of $24,698 in compliance with state requirements. At this time, I'm willing to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Lieutenant Fry. And any questions, then I'll go open the public hearing and then we could have discussion. No questions. So I'd like to open the public hearing. Is there anybody here or online that wishes to address this item?
I do not have any speaker cards or raised hands.
Okay. With that, I'll close the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the council?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Daniels, seconded by Schaefer. All those in favor? Aye. Was unanimous. The item carries.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Next item is regular calendar, item number 12. The subject is amendment to Chapter 54, Article 5, Division 3 of the Citrus Heights Municipal Code regarding tobacco products. The recommendation is to introduce for a first reading and waive the reading of the entire ordinance, an ordinance amending Chapter 54, Article 5, Division 3 of the Citrus Heights Municipal Code regarding the sale of tobacco products.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and members of the council. My name is Officer Brittany Soriano. I'm currently assigned as the State Grant Officer. In July of 2020, the police department received a grant from the California Department of Public Health for stopping tobacco access to kids enforcement. While working on the grant objectives, I reviewed the city's tobacco-related municipal codes and learned that the current municipal codes are out of compliance with state and federal law. My objective is to update the city's municipal code as it pertains to tobacco use, sales, possession, and regulation within the city, changing the existing municipal code, bringing it into compliance with recent changes in state and federal laws, specifically to age 21. The legal age for purchasing, possessing, or using tobacco products was raised to age 21 in May of 2016 and federally in December of 2019, which was effective immediately. At this time, I would like to make a recommendation to move to introduce for a first reading the amended ordinance and waive the reading of the entire ordinance. An ordinance of the City of Citrus Heights amending Chapter 54, Article 5, Division 3 of the Citrus Heights Municipal Code regarding the sale of tobacco products.
Thank you, Officer Soriano. You actually read our municipal code. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a nice catch. Any questions or comments? This one's pretty simple. And I honestly didn't know it went to age 21. What was ours, 18?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, there's a number of things. So there's no questions or comments. I'd entertain a motion.
Move to adopt.
Second.
A motion from Councilmember Schaefer, second by Vice Mayor Middleton. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Good catch. All right, next item, please.
Next item is regular calendar, item number 13. The subject is request to execute a contract with Lens Lock for body worn camera systems. And the recommendation is to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract to purchase or lease body worn camera systems with Lens Lock.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Alex Turcotte, I'm a commander for our Special Services Division at the Police Department. Joining me tonight is Tiffany Campbell. She's one of our project managers for this particular project, as well as Sean O'Grady and Wes Kipley from Lens Lock Incorporated. As many of you are aware, body-worn cameras have long been a useful tool in law enforcement. Studies have shown that use of body-worn cameras provides an objective, unbiased viewpoint of an interaction between police and the community. Many jurisdictions, this has proven to be very helpful, not only in increasing trust and transparency, but also increasing the ability to prosecute and get to the bottom of incidents out in the community. We have looked at body-worn cameras over the years, and unfortunately, up until recently, these programs have been cost prohibitive, but now there are many vendors out there that have reorganized the structure, and I'm happy to say that the technology has caught up and the price point has caught up, that now these are more accessible to medium-sized agencies. In the past, really the burden has not been so much the hardware, but the back-end administrative support as far as how to keep evidence, process requests, and release items. I'm happy to say that the technology has caught up with us, and it's now a viable option for municipalities of our size, and many of our regional partners are also going to it. Now I'll turn it over to Tiffany Campbell. She'll take you through our RFP process and introduce you to our selected vendor. Tiffany.
Thank you, Commander Turcotte. Good evening, Mayor Miller and members of the council. Thanks for the introduction. I am Tiffany Campbell. I am the project manager for our body worn camera project here at the police department. And tonight I'm here to provide council with an overview of this project and to highlight you on some of the requirements as it pertains to the RFP process. As noted in the staff report, during the past year, CHPD began researching body worn camera technology, testing equipment, and analyzing storage and redaction capabilities. In an effort to assist the department formally in locating the most qualified and state-of-the-art body-worn camera system, the city and the police department published a request for proposal this past July. Some of the required highlights of the proposal required respondents to provide a minimum of 90 cameras, enabling the department to provide one camera to each sworn staff police member, and it required a 24-hour tech support and also an option for 24/7 outsourced redaction services. During this process, a selection committee was formed with city and PD staff who completed a comprehensive review of each of the 5 responses received, and they were evaluated extensively. 4 of the proposals received were either not as competitive, had reduced services, or lacked a pricing structure, and some did not meet the RFP requirements. As a result, the selection committee determined that Lens Lock was the most qualified and cost-effective vendor, submitting a proposal that met the requirements of the RFP and the needs of the department. There will be no impact to the general fund, and the 5-year contract cost is not to exceed $570,000. During this process, 2 funding sources were identified. One is a grant and one is a credit. The grant funding is through the Citizens Option for Public Safety Grant. It's known as our COPS grant. And the credit funding is from a flexible spending credit provided by the city's general liability workers' compensation program. Tonight, staff is recommending that council adopt the resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract to purchase or lease body-worn camera systems with LensLock Incorporated. I want to thank you for your time tonight and allowing me to share with you some of the process in which we've been through up to this point. And should the council have any technical questions, joining us on Zoom is LensLock's Regional Manager, Sean O'Grady, and Director of Client Services, Wes Kipley. We're available should the council have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Campbell, and thank you, Commander Turcotte. Any questions for our team? Start now with Brett.
Just real quick, are there any other departments in the region that are using LensLock?
Yes, absolutely. At this time, we're aware that Roseville Police Department is in process with LensLock, as well as Rockland PD, and I believe Roseville is using this system as well.
And do we have an approximate deployment date if we go forward?
Yes, we're looking at the month of October, specifically. At this time, we're targeting in about a month from now, but that would be dependent on finalizing just some of the accessories that go along with the cameras themselves.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.
Yes, I had a question regarding the hardware. Is the hardware that we have, I'm talking about the backup system, the cameras, does that have an expected life of more than 5 years?
Are you talking about the camera itself or the video in which it?
Talking about both.
Okay. I think I will refer to Sean O'Grady on that topic. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, thank you. So included as part of our standard business model, there's an end-to-end hardware guarantee on everything. So if anything is damaged, anything gets scratched or breaks, or the battery life's failing on it, the police department's not going to be nickel and dime for additional body cameras or accessories or anything like that. Also, within the 5 years, we come in after the first 30 months and we upgrade the police department to brand new body-worn camera equipment so that they'll always have the latest and greatest technology that LensLock has to offer.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was reading through the contract when it got updated today, and so I'm a little. It looks like we added a component where we would own the cameras after the end of 5 years. So is this kind of a lease purchase type arrangement? Have we settled in on how we're going to do the financing on this?
I can jump in on some of that there. So we are working on some of the details. There are a number of options, but one of the reasons why this has been seen as a viable project now is kind of in layman's terms, so forgive me, LensLock. This is more of a body-worn camera as a service program. So we're able to actually field these cameras and be fully supported from the front end to the back end. So if it makes sense at the end of 5 years to purchase, we would have that option. If we wanted to continue the body-worn camera service as is, we would have the option to continue forward at a similar cost.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'm excited about this. You know, there's this issue of transparency and accountability that we're always talking about in our communities, and this is a critical component of that. But as I'm looking through the proposal, I am most impressed with the scope of work, which, you know, unlimited data storage management, automatic replacement of the body-worn cameras at 30-month intervals, and that whole no questions, no damage, you know, broken, whatever, replaced within 72 hours. I mean, that's being very responsible and responsive to our officers and the need of our community. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'd agree. This is really what's made it attainable for an agency our size, is that support and that system.
I'm glad we're able to finally do this. Well, we have to vote on it still, but if it passes, I'm glad.
So I move approval of the request to execute a contract.
I second.
Motion by Bruin, seconded by Schaefer. All those,
A quick
yeah,
comment.
go ahead.
This also lends itself to a need for a policy on the release of video. And so I'd really like to see us get that back or have that discussion really quick before the cameras are deployed.
Yes, sir. So I could address that for you as well. We, over the last year, we've done a number of test and evaluates with different vendors, including LensLock. And during that time, we had set some model policy around the issue and redaction and release of these items. So we should be pretty quickly able to turn that around. And obviously we have to do some conferring with our labor groups, but we should be able to turn that around well within the time period for deployment.
So there are no standards available. We have to come up with our own policy.
Now, there are some industry standards and model policies. We just have
Okay.
to
Got it. It's,
our particular jurisdiction.
Yeah.
thank you. All right, there was a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. That was unanimous. Thank you. Next item, please.
Thank you.
Item,
Thank you, Commander.
next item is Department Reports number 14. The subject is review and give direction on proposed resolutions to be presented at the 2021 League of California Cities Annual Conference. And with that, I'll turn over the presentation to Haley Reed.
Hey, Haley.
Hello, good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Haley Reed with the City Clerk's Office. The purpose of this presentation is to give the council's voting delegate, Councilmember Schaefer, direction for the 2 conference resolutions coming before him at the League of California Cities Annual Conference Business Meeting on September 24th. I have prepared a few slides which will provide an overview of each resolution. The full detailed resolutions packet is available in your agenda packets. Just a reminder that this is not an action item, but rather an opportunity for discussion. So the first resolution is a call to pass legislation for fair and equitable distribution of the Bradley Burns 1% local sales tax from in-state online purchases. Cities traditionally receive 1 cent on every dollar of a sale made within a jurisdiction's boundaries. Allocation of the local tax from online sales is complex and largely based on place of sale, location of goods at the time of sale, and how the customer receives goods. Recent online retailers changed their ownership structure, which has resulted in sales tax from in-state sales to be entirely allocated to the city where the fulfillment center is located, as opposed to a county-wide pool. This resolution seeks equitable allocation of sales tax from in-state purchases based on data where the products are shipped to, and takes into consideration the impacts fulfillment centers have on host cities, but also provides a fair share to California cities that do not or cannot have a fulfillment center. And the second resolution is a call to provide necessary funding for the California Public Utilities Commission to fulfill its obligation to inspect railroad lines. Currently, railroad operators own nearly 6,000 miles of rail right-of-way throughout California. CPUC is the enforcing agency for railroad safety and maintenance. Many cities are seeing an increase in illegal dumping, graffiti, and homeless encampments near rail lines. And keep in mind, this primarily affects already disadvantaged communities. This resolution calls on legislature to work with stakeholders to provide adequate authority and necessary funding to address these issues along rail lines. And with that, I will open it up for discussion.
Okay. What does everybody think about these? Very similar on the first one with is what I was talking about when we talked about the transit occupancy tax, is getting the legislature to do something about this. And I think this would be the rectifying the situation where we can't have a full fulfillment center would really help us.
Well, I think support of the first one would definitely be to the advantage of Citrus Heights.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We have concurrence there. Next one's not so clear. Now, I wonder what others thought about this. I think it's just to for enforcement of this. I know along the Capitol Corridor, very good jobs done by the private railroad. But then you get into the urban areas and it's not so
Well,
good.
even Roseville Road across from Citrus,
Right.
across from Citrus Heights.
Oh, yeah, they're
I actually read these resolutions and this one is a little confusing to me. Tim, did you have any input on it?
I really didn't. I read it as well.
Councilmember Schaefer, if you could just turn on your microphone.
I read it as well, and it wasn't very clear to me. I was hoping we could kind of have the discussion tonight that would help clarify that.
It sounds as though it wants to add teeth to having the Public Utilities Commission do its job, basically.
I think what it is that there's so much that's so little that's allocated to that enforcement angle. There's so few inspectors for so much, a tremendous amount of lines is, I think they're looking to have that bumped up.
Oh, they want, so the resolution, support of the resolution would basically support funding to tackle the problem.
Inspect the.
Yeah,
road.
and then also I think to move funds, to have funds available to maybe pay back local entities that take the opportunity to go ahead
Right,
and clean it
that's
up.
true. And basically the source of those funding would be from the surplus that the state says they have.
You made a good point, Jeannie, because I talk about to the right of way where the fence is and the railroads have done a good job. It's the other side of the fence where it's happened.
Yeah, and apparently
That's
that's,
a tough one.
so there's a question, is that still private property? Is that part of the right of way? You know, that the railroad is responsible for? Or is that county property,
Yeah,
the county Sacramento's property?
that's always the
So-
tough part of figuring it out, but
so- It seems as though supporting this would be the right thing to do. As opposed
I
to,
concur.
it's not working now, so.
All right.
Does that help you, Sam?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
If some new information comes up and it doesn't seem right, you don't have to support it either. Okay. All right, that takes care of that. Thank you, Haley. Next item, please.
The next item is city manager items.
Nothing this evening. Thank you, council.
Okay, next item.
The next item is items requested by council members or any future agenda items.
Anything? All right. Well, thank you for reminding me. I would like to take a moment of silence for United States Marine Sergeant Nicole G. And before we adjourn. Thank you. And with that, we are adjourned.